Good morning, everyone, and welcome to this unique virtual take on our 2020 Style of Life event benefiting the great work of Madison Square Boys and Girls Club. I'm Jenny B. Fine, Executive Editor of Beauty at Women's Wear Daily, and I'm honored to be the Mistress of Ceremony for today's program. We have an amazing program that we've planned for you. This is no ordinary Zoom call. Before we begin, though, I'd like to thank our event co-chairs, Victoria Ganzi and Jennifer Peterson. Of course, this event would not have been possible without the support of our sponsors. So a big thank you to our bronze sponsors, Hearst and PMC, and our Beauty Insider sponsors, Neiman Marcus and P&G Beauty. This year, we're so excited to also welcome our special guest, Dr. Oz. Just in case you're not a super fan like me, a quick recap. He has won 10 Daytime Emmy Awards for the Dr. Oz show and is an attending physician at New York Presbyterian Columbia Medical Center. Dr. Oz was a featured health expert on the Oprah Winfrey Show for 6 seasons, spanning over 60 episodes. He also served as Chief Medical Consultant to Discovery Communications. In 2003, Dr. Oz founded Health Corps, which emulates the Peace Corps model by putting energetic, recent college graduates into high schools around the country to teach diet, fitness, and mental resilience. Over 1 million teens have been influenced by this nationwide program. Later in the program, he will join me for a live Q&A. Also joining us will be Madison Club alumna Diamond Lewis. She is currently a junior at Smith College and on her journey to becoming a neonatologist. She is an extraordinary young woman, and we're thrilled to welcome them both. If you haven't already checked out our Style of Life auction, make sure you visit the link on the classy page that says, "Click here to start bidding." There are some fantastic items this year. We've got accessories from Hermes, Tom Ford, and Todd's, and there's a private whiskey tasting as well. And in these times of pandemic, I don't know about you, but who couldn't use that? Please continue bidding on all of the wonderful items and experiences. You can participate right from your computer or device. The silent auction will be going on throughout the program and won't be closing until this Friday, October the 2nd. The winners will be notified when the auction closes. Our virtual format makes it super easy to donate as well, and you don't need to be a tech whiz, I promise you. As this year continues to challenge us in ways we never imagined, there's one thing that we know for sure. Our kids need us now more than ever. This event will raise much needed funding for Madison's COVID-19 Emergency Relief Fund, helping the thousands of members that we serve to prepare for their future at a time of unprecedented uncertainty. As I've talked to the team at Madison and learned how much they're doing to help the community during these tough times, I can't stress how very important your donation is. I was struck even in looking at the images before we went live that even though everyone is wearing masks in these pictures, you can still see the smiles on their faces. And to me, that really sums up the work that Madison does. The inspiration that Madison's members find within the walls of our clubhouses through virtual programs and opportunities and from the reassuring presence of the staff transcends any hardship our communities and world may face. And it's not just Madison's members who continue to be inspired. The leadership team, the board of directors, and the staff are inspired every day by the perseverance, strength, and tenacity of the members. Our next guest continues to be inspired by Madison's growth and future. I'm excited to introduce Madison's Executive Director, Tim Christensen.
Thanks, Jenny. Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you again for joining us. I'm happy to welcome each of you to this unique Madison program in this environment that nobody could have predicted. I'd like to welcome back our longtime supporters of this program and also welcome those of you who are joining us for the first time. As we all know, this year continues to be a challenge to all of us in ways we've never imagined. The entire world changed in March with the onslaught of COVID-19, forcing Madison to respond and adapt accordingly. The pandemic infiltrated our communities in Harlem, Brooklyn, and the Bronx, and exposed all of the underlying conditions that make the very foundations of under-resourced neighborhoods so fragile. During this time, to protect the safety of our members and staff and comply with New York City regulations, we made the tough decision to shut down our clubs for in-person programming, removing yet again one more layer of security for families who are already enduring too much. Throughout the crisis, Madison has been a source of strength and support for our families. We immediately pivoted in April to offer virtual programs to continue to support our members' education and provide needed recreation and socialization opportunities to break up the monotony of their long school day. As the summer approached, we realized that we could safely reopen the clubs for in-person summer programs by implementing the government-recommended social distancing guidelines and an intensive facilities cleaning process. In addition, we launched 2 concurrent summer teen employment programs. One that was funded by Madison, and we employed teens to support our food pantry program, voter registration, and online career development. And the second teen employment program was the city's summer youth employment program, employing over 130 teens. After speaking with our families, we learned that food insecurity was a huge issue for many members of our community who were living at or below the U.S. federal poverty guideline. In response to this dire need, we immediately launched 6 weekly food pantries at each of our clubhouse locations, including our school-based program in Brownsville, Brooklyn. We delivered over 14,000 large bags of healthy produce and non-perishable goods weighing over 400,000 pounds from the start of the program in mid-April until the end of August at a cost to Madison of over $10,000 per week. We hope to continue to run this program during the school year through the support of generous donors like yourselves. I'm also pleased to report that as of today, we've not had any confirmed cases of COVID-19 as a result of the activities this summer. The successes of the summer activities gives us confidence in our ability to offer both in-person and virtual programs this fall. Starting today, with the first day of school for many New York City public school students, Madison will bring our core programs to a new context as remote learning centers to provide enrichment to kindergarten to 8th graders participating in the hybrid school schedule during the day from 8 a.m. to 3 p.m., followed by our traditional after-school programming from 3 o'clock to 6 o'clock. We will also be implementing a much-needed teen program to make sure that this community is not forgotten in their needs. And unfortunately, we had a terrible reminder of the critical needs to support teenagers because 2 weeks ago, a 17-year-old member of our Smilo clubhouse in the Bronx was tragically shot and killed a half a block away from our clubhouse. We're empowered by the tenacity of the communities we serve and have continued to explore opportunities to support our members and their families. Throughout the crisis, our clubs have been a lifeline to families who felt otherwise ignored. We're able to support these needs by your commitment to provide critical funds for Madison and our members and their families. On behalf of our staff, our board of trustees, our over 5,000 members, we say thank you. We couldn't do what needs to be done to rebuild our communities without your support. And now I'd like to share with you what's been going on at our clubhouses over the last several months.
I have been blessed to be here 30 years as office manager and a community person. That's why I live in a neighborhood. I've seen changes through the years in the neighborhood and community, but this was really a shock.
The coronavirus, it was kind of scary.
I was scared and nervous. Scared for what might happen. Nervous of what might not happen.
I felt like angry that a disease had to stop me from seeing my friends.
We've lived through blackouts, storms, but people did adjust. It's a very condensed community. Whatever affects you affects everyone.
This is my community and I want to be here. When COVID first started and I was stuck at home, I was going insane. This is where I like to spend my time. When people say what their passion is, this is my thing.
I've been doing this line of work for over 20 years. I've always said I will treat all these children that I encounter like they were my own.
The club's response to the coronavirus has been really to address the needs of the community.
We're a building here, but we actually extend our relationship outside.
We've been able to do that really by expanding our services to now offer food pantries.
Some of the family members are not able to work right now. They can't work. That grocery helps them out a lot.
We just come to the club and they help everybody, really everybody.
I would feel pretty sad if I couldn't come to the club because it makes me feel happy and safe. I thought they were going to be closed down for like very long time and I wouldn't be able to go there.
Without the club, I'll be like in a world of boredom.
When they said the club shut down, I was like, I hope they have a virtual Boys and Girls Club. And they did.
We had to take what we do in a physical space and then put that all online. And we have that first Zoom session, and then kids start popping up and you start seeing their names come up on the screen, and then you start to see their faces and you see the excitement of their faces and seeing your face, and then you get excited. What a great cycle of happiness.
And basically we're just online teaching these youth life skills. And one of the things that we were speaking to them, especially just the changes that are going on in this world.
They would ask us how our day was, and then we would do some games, do some learning activities. It'd be so fun.
It was fun because all the people there were actually being funny and they were trying to pretend like we weren't online.
We were here for the summer. That was a help, a blessing, I have to say, because a lot of parents didn't know what was going to happen after the spring.
New club format, a lot of social distancing. We've had to limit the amount of kids that we have in the club, but the ability to impact the ones who are part of the program, to offer them a summer program that, again, with all the parameters, has been really fun and creative.
We still get to play games. We still get to share things that we never knew before about each other.
So Madison had opened their doors and people were receptive and they were happy.
It is really about relationships. You know, the club is so beyond just an after-school program. It's really, again, that extended family, the second home for a lot of our young people.
We're still having fun. We're having fun. The kids are engaging in a series of activities. The format, the way it shifted is just, we had to take more precautions.
Now you have to take like thermometer checks. You have to answer like questions about how you're feeling, and there's like less people in the room.
Of course, we have to be social distance. Kids have to wear their masks, and it's hard. We got to keep telling them, keep your mask on, put on your mask. Just keeping, whether it was the members safe, but keeping the staff safe as well.
On the table, can we distance, please? Thank you.
But when the club opened up, I was very happy.
I can actually go somewhere other than staying home.
When I have a bad day, it makes me have a good day. It's like you have so much fun and do so much things that it all melts away.
It makes me feel safe.
So for them to come here and to see that their faces lighting up, their eyes lighting up underneath the mask, and just that how they're excited about coming in and not being home all day, it's amazing. It's exciting.
Even if things might be different or something during this year's, parts of it still feels the same. The staff still care about you. There's still a lot of different fun activities that you could do, and there's still new things every day.
But the club is also a way of people communicating during this war of time, or kids connecting, but we all stay healthy and strong.
I think that the club, no matter what, makes me feel at home. That I get to see my friends and I get to do normal activities that I will do if the pandemic wasn't going on.
There are after-school programs, and then there are beacons of light. They're really just not about after school. That's the function that we do, but we do so much more. I am extremely proud of the staff. Through this all, they are the secret sauce to what makes this all happen.
If it wasn't for the staff that were at the Boys and Girls Club when I was a member, I'm pretty sure I wouldn't be the man that I am today.
What's going to always be the same is our mission to save and enhance the lives of the boys and girls that walk through these doors. That would definitely remain the same. Our mission is not going to change.
I've seen children rotate in and rotate out. So there's a legacy, and I'm excited to see what comes from this. I believe, I'm not even thinking. I know good is coming from this.
What an amazing team and what amazing kids. Tim, thank you for the opportunity to experience Madison's vibrant clubhouses, meet some of the extraordinary people who are showing up each day to open the clubhouse doors and welcome kids. I know that everyone can sense, as I can, how important the clubs are for our kids during this time. As Tim mentioned, your support is critical to keeping Madison's clubhouses and communities where they're needed most. You can donate by clicking the button above this video on the event page that says Donate Now, and any size gift is much appreciated. Also, please don't forget, if you haven't bid on any of the amazing silent auction items that we have, now is your time. And did I mention amazing accessories and a private whiskey tasting? You can access the auction from the event page by clicking the button below this video that says click here to start bidding. And the auction will close Friday, October the 2nd. It is now my pleasure to welcome Dr. Oz, one of Time Magazine's 100 Most Influential People, Forbes' Most Influential Celebrity, and Esquire Magazine's 75 Most Influential People of the 21st Century, among many other accolades. Dr. Oz, welcome and thank you for being with us today.
It's a great honor. I've been a big fan of what you do in Boys and Girls Clubs across the country, so it's honored to be here. Lots to talk about.
Lots to talk about, and let's start with stress, because who among us isn't feeling it these days? You're synonymous with a healthy lifestyle, yet we're all living in a time of extreme anxiety. How can we all create a culture of health and wellness, whatever our circumstances?
Well, there's two parts, I think, to addressing the anxiety that we see as an epidemic, just as much as COVID-19 is in this country. And just to give you numbers on it, 90% of my audience says they feel more anxiety than before. And it's, I think, reflective of just paying attention to the world changes around you. So first off, there's a psychology of change. And this is something that people don't think about a lot. They focus on how am I going to change? But the fact that you even asked yourself about changing means that you're already in a very small percentage of the population, because 80% of everybody, you listening out there, are pre-contemplative, which means you're not even thinking of changing. That's not on your radar screen. We automate our lives. You try to figure out what's right and not right. We try to fix the things that aren't ideal, and then you live. And I would love to challenge people about the assumptions you've made in your life. COVID-19 has done it for you if you didn't want to do it on your own. Mm-hmm. And so you want to move both yourself, but also people around you, your loved ones, your family, coworkers, people who could be supportive of this initiative, into the contemplative phase, where you're at least considering whether there's something you might be able to do to contribute. And so the 80% of the population that moves into the contemplative phase, there you start to get results, because now all of a sudden all the messages that are being tossed out begin to land. Mm-hmm. And when I've studied the psychology of change, I've realized a few things. People generally don't change for very good reasons. They don't change because they don't have enough time, because they don't, we're busy going 100 miles an hour. They don't change because we don't have enough money. That's an unfortunate reality for half the population. And often those excuses are good ones. And we're going to talk about healthy behaviors in a little bit, and that this issue comes up there. Then we also don't change because we don't know what to do. And part of the reason that I spend time on television is to educate folks. So that's not a good answer anymore. But I haven't gotten everybody, and sometimes my answers aren't the right ones for you. So we do have to spend some time improving ourselves to know what to do. But I'll tell you the big reason we don't change, without any question. And I'm in the change business, as you are, so I study this a lot. The main reason people don't change is because they're scared. Mm-hmm. They think if they try to change and they fail, that's spiritual death, because people around you won't love you because you're a failure at changing. And I love to make it comfortable for people to realize that failure in trying to change is just fine. The fact that you're even thinking about it is success in my mind. So what's the change you might want to do right now? Well, a good example of how people historically have reacted in these kinds of crises is to start helping each other, because we are the safety net for each other. So as soon as you begin to reach out and have the agency control your destiny again, that you begin to say, okay, I'm going to do X, Y, Z to help this population do better than they were before. My next door neighbor, one of my kids, one of my parents, someone I don't even know, I'm going to help them do better. that automatically allows you to focus on something beyond yourself, which by itself, for most people, because you're controlling your future, takes away your anxiety. Because what really messes us up is feeling like we're rats in a maze. Speaking of rats in a maze, if you're to mimic human disease, you don't do it by putting a rat in a maze and shocking them. You do it by putting a rat in a maze and shocking them in a way that is unpredictable. And so if a rat can figure out what's good and what's bad, they'll run the maze and do what's good, or at least in their best interest, to find the food. But if they're being hit from all sides without any warning in an unpredictable fashion, which is what life seems like now for so many, that's the definition of stress. And that is the underlying root of so many ailments in this country.
We know that nutrition and fitness are key components of wellness, and that obesity really disproportionately impacts children from low-income families. How can parents provide healthy options for their kids when they're on a tight budget? And what is the link that you've seen between nutrition and stress?
Well, I've spent a good part of my adult life on this very topic. I started a group called Health Corps, which is probably one of the largest foundations now that's focusing on teen health, primarily through educating teens about what their option, how they can change their destiny, because if they can control their bodies, what's inside here, they can change the world outside of it. We've raised over $100 million over the last almost 20 years now, primarily to answer the questions that you're asking. So a couple of things. First off, people do want to be empowered. They actually want to do it themselves. They don't want a handout. They want a hand up. And so when we teach teens about, for example, getting your local bodegas to stock healthier food so you and your parents can buy it, they become activists. And so they want to go out there and make some noise, and they want to put basketball hoops up and make sure their nuts hung from them. They want to open up parks that are otherwise closed. So if you give people things to aim at, they'll work towards it. But let's focus on food. It turns out there are a couple of big misperceptions about food, and there's some great opportunities because of that. And I'll start just for parents out there. Everyone thinks that they have to buy fresh produce. The nutritional difference between fresh produce and frozen produce is just relatively small. It's probably 10, 15%. It's there. There's definitely a taste difference, but nutritionally, frozen produce, because it's harvested later when the vegetables and fruits are ripe, is a pretty good buy. But more importantly, we throw away about a third of all the produce in this country, either because you buy it and you don't use it, or it goes bad on its way to you. So frozen produce is a great value because you avoid 1/3 of the waste, therefore 1/3 of the price is rebated to you. And I always tell families, just stock up. Make it easy to do the right thing. If you keep healthy foods at an arm's distance away, you'll eat those things. You put junk in the pantry, that's what the kids are going to eat. We've never had soft drinks in our house ever as a family. With 4 kids, they moan and they groan and their friends have soft drinks. We just don't keep it in the house because you don't look for it after a while. It's not an issue. But we keep every frozen bit of produce you'd ever want there. Simple example, but it's a metaphor for many of the tips we try to give these kids through Health Corps. Biggest tip I would love folks to take to heart is that we can actually make fast food work for us. 100 million visits to fast food a week. We're not going to beat fast food back, nor is fast food the evil empire. Fast food chains have purposely stocked healthier options because they know parents want them. Now, not both parents sometimes, maybe it's just the mom and the veto vote they're overcoming. But if you can buy chili or a salad or an apple, McDonald's is the biggest distributor of apples in the country right now. So these guys want to have these foods, but you got to go actually pick them as opposed to the fried dish that's alternatively offered or won't have the benefit. And finally, I do think there's a big opportunity for local farms to thrive in this environment, but you got to go out there and order from them. And you create relationships with local farms so they automatically deliver their produce, cutting the middleman out. The value's there, the quality is there, and it helps the local ecosystem.
So with Health Corps, you're targeting teens. Is it possible to bake healthy habits into younger kids as well?
Oh, without question, younger kids are very influenceable. But I tell you that we've not taken advantage of teens because they can be agents for change. Remember, advertisers go after teens because they know they'll translate knowledge to action, right? If I get you to think that cigarette smoking is cool, you're going to smoke. Where try that on a 50-year-old. It doesn't work so well. You don't know what makes me cool. I know I'm more self-aware. But teens, that works really effectively. So if I can get teens to say, hey, mom, you got stuff in the fridge that's not good for us. What's the deal here? I mean, they're going to fight with us anyway. You might as well give teens something that's worth fighting about. Then they'll be, because they're cool to their younger siblings and relatives, and other kids in school. Now all of a sudden the sixth graders are trying to copy the 12th graders, and then the first graders copy the sixth graders. Then you sort of allow it to bump down. We actually have our teen kids teach middle schoolers. And in Boys and Girls Clubs, you have the opportunity, because the kids do overlap so much, that Madison, you can get a great teacher to empower a teen to influence a middle schooler, and then it rolls down. Because it is, you talk to the children's educators, who I really admire a lot, trying to teach a kindergartner the right way is darn difficult.
It is not easy.
Yeah. It's an away game for people like me. But I can sort of talk to a teenager. They might not listen perfectly, but parts of it will sink in. And using them as a change agent has worked well for us.
So let's switch tacks and talk about adults for a little while. I mean, the stress on parents right now is undeniable. Many of us are working from home. Many of us are homeschooling. What advice do you have for us in trying to balance these elements and be present both for parenting and our children and for our other responsibilities?
Well, first up, there's no such thing as work-life balance. There really never was, but definitely not now. And it doesn't exist. It's okay. Listen, let me explain it this way. It's a mountain. It's not a flat top. It's a mountain with a tip. And on one side, you've got the desire to be the best you can. Well, to be the best you can, you got to be different than everybody else so you can be the best, period. Right? That is going against another natural human desire, which is to be in community, to be intimate, to be just like everybody else. So one part of you is saying, I want to be better and different than anyone else. The other part is saying, I want to be just like everybody else so I feel connected. Well, there's no overlap there. Those just will go to the top and they meet. And your job is to hold on to that tip, which is hard to do. So you're going to be more on one side to the other, but it's okay. But here's some tactics that we've used in my family might be beneficial for you. First off, division of labor. Everyone's got a job. So I'm sitting, this is actually my home studio. It looks like the studio in Manhattan, but today was more convenient. But I built this with my team. And everybody in my family, especially during COVID-19, had a job. My wife did hair and makeup because I definitely can't do that. She even picked my wardrobe out because I can't pick colors. One of my daughters, Daphne, the chef, was upstairs running the quarantine kitchen. One other daughter was in charge of prompter. I had my son doing tech support. I mean, everyone had a job. The grandkids had jobs. And I think in many families, we shy away from that. But that's how it always was on the farm, right? Everyone had a little job. So people actually respond to a division of labor where they know they have responsibility and an opportunity because they have a responsibility. A couple other rules of thumb. Save less critical tasks for times when distraction is likely, right? Because there are going to be times when, it's just going to be difficult to get everyone quiet. The kids are going into their computer to go to third grade. They're not going to be quiet in third grade. And you can't write your thesis while your kids are trying to stay connected. For older kids, we had a spiral notebook, right? And it was an Ask Me Later book where basically all the questions, the thoughts, they can be written down and they're kept safe until the work time is over. And you can actually address them in a meaningful way. They won't get forgotten. And then you got to teach the family, what are the parameters for interrupting each other? This is between spouses too. What's urgent? What's really not urgent? What's a helpful way to get me to pay attention? When's it okay to interrupt or for me to interrupt you? And then you got to remind everybody about these rules because it doesn't come naturally. I mean, do I stand at the door and wait to come in? Do I stand over you like I'm preying on you? How do I get your attention? Is it texting? These seem like simple tactics, but they work incredibly effective. And one last little thing that we keep in our household, we've got a game room. We have toys and books and these are for adults and kids, by the way, because there's some place you can just go and go play football and negotiate on what needs to happen. That actually works well. And finally, lean on each other. This is true of everyone on this call right now. Negotiate swaps, play dates. We all need time that is free of our families. So if you can rely, I used to kid my sisters-in-law because I would bring them on trips with us so they could wife sit. If they could take care of my wife, I could have some free time. And I'm sure she felt the same way. In fact, I know she does. So, you can lean on your families and loved ones because at its very core, we are like little raindrops falling into the ocean of humanity. And as soon as we forget that, it gets really lonely out there.
And any help with teens on managing tech time?
Well, we're pretty strict in my household. You're not allowed to use any technology at dinner time. It doesn't seem like a big gap. Try it. I mean, people get really antsy. But I want that hour. I want to fight with them, talk to them, negotiate. And they know I'm going to go past, what you do today, nothing. That little, traditional, we're going to have to talk. Now, if they're during COVID, we actually had the opportunity to have blackout lunch as well. Usually I'm at the studio, or I still practice medicine. So I'm at the hospital, at Columbia University. So that lunch is not usual, but at dinner time, they must spend time with us. And when they're, we don't believe in giving kids under age 16 any technology of like a phone, because we know that it breeds addictive behavior. That data, by the way, is overwhelming. It's driven up suicide rates and self-harm rates among young girls in particular. So if you have I know it's hard, but if you have the opportunity to block social media until kids are 16, you're doing the kids a huge favor. Most of the tech friends that I have who are running some of these big companies, they themselves will not give their kids social media till they're 16. So yeah, they have a phone, they can contact you for emergencies, but they don't get loaded with Snapchat, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, especially Twitter.
Yeah. You mentioned that you're still a practicing doctor, and in a moment we're going to meet Diamond Lewis, who is just an extraordinary Madison alum who's studying to be a neonatologist. I know you feel very passionately about this area, and you recently launched a campaign called #MoreBlackDoctors. Can you tell us a little bit about this and why it's so important to you?
Let me speak lovingly about a topic that is sensitive. Everyone's worked up about Black Lives Matter and police officers and trauma. But one of my producers, who I trust a lot, said this recently to me, and it was echoed by several of my African-American female guests. She said, the way that Black men see police officers is how Black women see doctors. Now let that sink in for a second. I didn't understand that was impossible. But the data is pretty clear. Black women going through childbirth, twice the mortality of white women. Black kids, infants, twice the mortality. That part I knew. What I didn't realize is that Black infants being cared for by Black doctors have a much lower mortality than when they have care from white doctors. Now, unlike the police issue where there's lots of issues that put people at risk and there's dangers, I'm not at risk taking care of a Black child. So obviously I'm not doing or not managing it ideally on purpose. I literally have blind spots that are hindering my ability to connect with the parent or even with the situation of the child. The parents are acknowledging they feel uncomfortable talking to me at times. There are cultural gaps, as loving and as caring as they may try to be. So when faced with that data, you have no choice but to say, where are the Black doctors? Well, there's 5% of the doctors in America are Black, 13% of the population. It doesn't have to be exactly 13% doctors are being Black, but it's got to be closer than that. I mean, 2.5, almost 3 times difference. And so we need to have more Black doctors. Historically, it was really difficult because it's so darn expensive to go to medical school. But many universities are now, med schools are making their tuition zero. There's no fee anymore. My university, Columbia University, is like that. NYU, there are many institutions. And so we don't have any more financial limitations to kids getting educated. By the way, we did it not because of Black issues. We did it because kids in medical school could not study family practice because they could never pay back their debts if they did. Mm-hmm. Take an IQ test. You have to become a heart surgeon like me. Otherwise, you'd never pay your debts back. So, you don't give me the option of doing what I really want to do, which is to be a family practice or a general internist guy, person. And so now we have better opportunities, but we have to interest young African Americans and get them engaged in healthcare professions. It's a wonderful field. Many African Americans do not think about it. Black kids, if they open their eyes to these opportunities, work. And part of the reason we launched #MoreBlackDoctors is because with Health Corps, we had a great opportunity. Historically, I taught a lot of kids of color because that's generally where the schools were in. I taught them about their health. Now we can actually teach them to go into health. And we're doing mentoring programs. We have a scholarship program. Mike Bloomer just gave $100 million to 4 traditionally Black medical schools. So it's there. Let's just get young people engaged in it, and we will get more Black doctors.
Fantastic. Well, on that note, I am super excited to introduce you to Diamond because she really is just an amazing young woman. When I met her last week, her passion and poise blew me away. She has a fantastic story and is going, I think, to share with us really how she got on her path to studying medicine and the role that Madison played in it. So, Diamond, I would love to bring you into our conversation. Welcome, Diamond.
Hey, good afternoon. Hi, Dr. Oz.
Hi, Diamond. Congratulations.
Thank you. So my name is Diamond Lewis, and I'm a current junior and STEM Posse Scholar at Smith College. My My major is developmental biology, and time to talk about Madison. So I've been a member of the Thomas S. Murphy Boys and Girls Club since I was 8 years old, and I became an alumna at 18. And Madison has impacted my life tremendously, created opportunities where I thought there were none. I went to the club starting as a shy, head in a book all the time student. I was like, no, I don't need to talk to anybody. Just gonna read my book, sit in this corner. I remember being super shy to myself, outgoing, found my voice, and found what I was passionate about. My long-term goal is to become a neonatologist, and that stems from being born premature myself, and understanding the problems and that are faced by Black women trying to have kids, difficulties that come along with that, as you mentioned before. So that's really what I want to do with my self in the future.
So, Madison, you had an incredible internship this summer at Albert Einstein Medical College, and we were talking about that earlier. You said that it was really the first time where you were able to see doctors who looked like you. What did that mean to you, and can you tell us more about that experience?
Yeah, so this summer, I was a part of a program called Bronx Hope with Albert Einstein College of Medicine. And it was a combination of all the summer undergrad and high school programs that they had. And they said, we want to still create an opportunity for you guys this summer, as many things were canceled due to the pandemic. And at first I was like, okay, it's not gonna be as good because it's virtual, everything's online, and I was completely wrong. This summer really has changed my view of myself and where I'm going. It allowed me to make my dreams seem way more tangible. I always knew I wanted to be a doctor since the time I was a little kid. And I was like, you know what, that's what I'm going to do. That's what I'm going to do. But I was finally able to see myself in that picture, if that makes sense. I was able to see myself in that white coat, see myself in the future in the hospital doing what I have to do. All because I saw medical students that look like me, doctors that look like me, and they gave the raw, unedited truth about medical school, their undergrad journey, and that not all paths to medicine are the same. And that made me so happy. I was like, I can do this. I can see myself. And before, I wasn't able to do that. Now the picture is finally complete. I have steps. I know what I'm doing next. And I also realized that there's no one way. I've talked to people who are like, yeah, I was a nurse first. So I was an ENT for a few years. And I would say, Bronx Hope provided me two amazing mentors, Zaki and Isidra. And I can text them and be like, oh my gosh, what do I do if I do bad on the exam? I have undergrad students who are just like me, similar backgrounds, look like me. And I'm able to be like, oh yeah, I have notes from that class that I took at my college. I can send them to you if I want. So having that support system and having people that look like me, similar backgrounds as me, all on the same journey, it's nice to finally have that community.
Diamond, how do you think that we can encourage more young Black women to go into STEM areas?
Providing them representation. That is the biggest way. It's easy to say for a child to say, yeah, I want to be a doctor, but it's harder on the journey when you see no one that looks like you. I went to the doc. I've had the same pediatrician since I was born. And I saw a Black doctor in the office for the first time about 2 weeks ago. And I walked in and I felt like a little kid in a candy shop. My eyes were wide and I said, that's a pediatrician that looks just like me. She has dreads. She's Caribbean. I like this. I like this a lot. And I spoke to my doctor and he was like, it's funny that you mentioned your summer experience and how you felt about seeing doctors that look like you, because I had a patient who I allowed our new doctor to see, and her father wrote back and said, my daughter was so excited to see a doctor that looks like her. And she went on about how you allowed that doctor to see her because you knew she wanted to be a doctor, and she's so excited and she can't wait to go back to the doctor the next time. Little things like that are important. Representation is important, and also encouragement. I would say I wouldn't have stayed on the journey of being a doctor if it wasn't for at least my community at Madison. Being there every step of the way. Anytime I walk into the clubhouse as an alum, saying hi to staff, a lot of the staff that were just seen in the video, they call me Dr. Lewis. Nowhere near being a doctor yet. I haven't even graduated undergrad, but they see me, and they've always seen me before I've seen myself. So the best way is support and definitely representation.
So, Diamond, tell us a little bit about what your Madison journey was like. I loved the story that when you started, that when you went in the beginning, you would always have your nose in a book, and that you really just blossomed during your time at the clubhouse. Can you share some programs and just what resonated with you so deeply there?
Yeah. So like I said, when I first joined the club, I'm an only child for my parents. And so it's always just me and my parents. So I've always been used to always have my book, always have a game, a snack, something. I've always been pretty okay by myself. So coming to the club was a transition for me. Seeing kids all around me all the time, I was like, wow, like there's other humans my age. So I got used to that. And I remember like my first leader, I don't remember what grade I was in, but his name is Mr. Merlin. He was like, Diamond, you're going to interact. Come on, let's learn how to play Uno. Let's learn how to play Connect Four. You're going to do this. You cannot sit there and do your homework and keep your head in a book. And that really changed my trajectory. I made friends, and a lot of those friends I call family. These are people that can walk into my house or come see me in the summer. My mom was like, hey, how are you? I remember when you were so small. And so I really created a family with the other students there, and the staff have always been there for me. They've become home. I have tons of mentors. I text a lot of the staff all the time. They check up on me all the time. That's all a part of my journey. Some of the programs I did were Smart Girls, where they taught me how to take care of myself before I knew what becoming a young lady looked like. Torch Club, Keystone, all leadership programs where I gained amazing skills. And most importantly, Youth of the Year. I would say Youth of the Year definitely changed my life. I thought I was ready for college and all the things that came along with it, but Youth of the Year showed me that there's always more to learn. Interview skills, public speaking, being able to meet amazing high school students from the other clubhouses. Just having that experience was absolutely amazing. Learning how to public speak better was really hard. I thought, I had it, I could do it. And then when you get up there and you stand in front of thousands of people who just want to hear your story, it's absolutely difficult. So getting used to that. And I will definitely say that senior year, that was it. That was when I realized what the club did for me and how it would be so different if I didn't have it.
Yeah, it truly has been a transformational experience. Dr. Oz, I would ask you, one, what advice do you have for Diamond? And also, please, if you'd like to ask her any questions as well.
Oh, I could fill the rest of the day with questions for Diamond, but let me start off with one bit of advice, and then I'll pester you a little bit, Diamond. You should, and you already have been doing it a bit, but go find the mentors out there and think big. Cuddle up to folks that you really admire. I do think if they look like you is beneficial, but doesn't always have. They have to have attributes that you want to acquire in your life. It could be great researchers. Could be someone who's been able to fight through adversity, and get close enough to them. You understand how they did it. It's not what people say about them, but what they actually tell you. And they'll be lifelong friends of yours. And in my own life, I found that to be incredibly valuable. And there were always in my life people who are very different from me, but could connect with me. So they can't be so different that they have no way of understanding you, but different enough that they stretch you a little bit. As you look at your future right now, what are the biggest obstacles to your success? What can people like me and others who are on this call do to make sure that you and other folks who are women in particular who are struggling in STEM, what are the obstacles that we need to help with?
Yeah, I would definitely say at the top of that list is imposter syndrome. Getting into spaces and feeling like you do not belong there. As someone who goes to Smith College or PWI, I take a lot of hard STEM classes. I'm around extremely amazing young women, but sometimes that feeling of not belonging takes over. So definitely having support in that way. I already spoke about representation, and also just getting to know people outside of their passions for STEM. A lot of people are passionate about STEM. They want to be doctors, they want to be engineers, but there's a little bit more to them. And just pushing that idea of like, you don't only just have to do STEM, you can do STEM and other stuff. Just like you're in the hospital on some days, but you're also on TV on other days. Pushing that idea of having multiple passions and combating imposter syndrome with community and support.
It's interesting you mentioned imposter syndrome. Just before this call, we have these diversity seminars on my show. And so I've got, I have a lot of people from all kinds of backgrounds, sexual differences, race differences, et cetera. And several African-American women were voicing the exact same thing that you just said. And one of these folks, a very senior member of my staff, who I worked with, I have been for 12 years. And she said she was hesitant to send me emails because she thought that if she was a typo in an email, that would judge her. And I encourage you, Diamond, to remember that we don't know what we don't know, right?
Mm-hmm.
We have blind spots, all of us do. But as someone who's often at the top of the hierarchy, I don't even think about that as an issue. If someone corrects what I write or I make a typo, I just assume it's part of a day. So you should, and it's hard, but you should be brave enough to point out the fact that the imposter syndrome is, and the noises in the heads of our youth in particular. I think Black women have these noises, voiced, judged by what I heard today, are there, and just make sure we know it, because we'll make offhanded comments, not just me as a white guy, but just generally we'll not processed the way we think they're processed. It doesn't make it okay. It just means it's got to be a two-way street. So I encourage you to be brave along those lines. Could I ask you about yourself a tiny bit? But what was the moment that you realized that you wanted to be in STEM? Was there an epiphany that hit you because you saw something occur?
So I will definitely say that the idea came about when every birthday my mom would wake me up with the story of how I was born 2 pounds 6 ounces, I could fit in her hand. Hearing that story every day for, I'm about to be almost 20 years, definitely that was the light bulb. But the light finally turned on and I was like, yeah, I cannot do anything else. I would have to say when I went on my service trip to Honduras last January, I was having a difficult time and just got in my OChem sequence. I was like, I cannot do this chemistry stuff. I don't know how I'm going to do it. That was the moment when I went to Honduras and I was shadowing those doctors and helping people. That feeling that I got, positively impacting other people, not having to know them well, but just simply helping them find glasses that fit, assisting a dentist with taking out teeth extractions, etc. That was that moment. That feeling that I got, I was like, I want to have this feeling every day for the rest of my life if I can. Impacting others positively, helping change their life.
Well, I'm very pleased I had a chance to meet with you, and I know you're destined for great things. So I appreciate Madison for setting this all up.
Thank you.
And Diamond, I guess my final question for you, would be, this has been such a tough time for everyone. You're in school remotely. How are you doing, and how has the crisis impacted how you think about your future?
Yeah, so I can say, thank God that I'm doing well. My family and I are doing well. And how has it impacted me? I've been spending a lot of time with my family, which I enjoy. So that hasn't been bad at all. Movie nights, etc., amazing. But what it has made me think about my future is that a lot of people have asked me, do you still want to be a doctor, especially with all that's going on? And at first I was really scared and I was like, would I be able to do something like this if I were a doctor? And I realized, yes, that I can. It's all I want to do. Pandemic or not, people in danger or not, something I definitely want to do. And so what I would say, at least for if there's any clubhouses watching, to be brave. Brave doesn't mean you're scared. It means you go on even though you're scared. Mm-hmm. And that's just something that my favorite quote, something I live by. And that's been pushing me through the pandemic. Just listening to myself, trying to balance schoolwork, being home, taking care of myself, but also remembering to be brave in every decision and opportunity that comes up.
Diamond, for someone so young, I'm really struck by your wisdom. And I just want to thank you and Dr. Oz for having this conversation with us. It's really incredible to see how kids in the communities that Madison serves are impacted by all of the amazing things that the organization provides. So thank you, Diamond, and thank you, Dr. Oz.
Thank you
pleasure.
So much.
Bless you.
Diamond, I'm hoping that you will share with us a little bit more about just the lessons that you've learned.
The lessons I've learned through the clubhouse?
Yeah, yes.
Yeah, so through the clubhouse, I've learned to use my voice. That's definitely one. and to stand up for myself. Those are two things that I've learned. Being around so many kids all the time was a lot for me at first, and just learning how to communicate effectively, stand up for myself, and just believe in myself in general. Like I said before, sometimes it's hard to see yourself doing the things you want to do, but a lot of times other people can see the greatness in you before you see it in yourself. Definitely something I learned.
And we know how important the support of the community is, and how important the financial support of the people who are joining us today is.
Yeah, definitely. I'm truly honored to speak this afternoon and to showcase the impact the club has had on me. Despite facing many obstacles, I was able to overcome them. It proves that resiliency has no barriers, and with the help of Madison, I've learned this lesson. The club is a safe haven where all kids are welcome, no matter their circumstance. Thank you all for listening to a part of my story. Please know that by joining us today, you're making a difference in the lives of kids just like me. And you can make an even bigger difference this year. Please consider making a gift today. Examples of how your support impacts young people like me are a gift of $100 can cover the out-of-pocket membership fees of 20 Madison members to ensure they retain access to programming, support, and resources throughout the year. A gift of $500 can cover the cost of 200 face masks, enabling kids to remain safe and secure while enjoying socially distant activity within the clubhouses. A gift of $2,500 can help us operate our weekly food pantry program at one clubhouse, ensuring that approximately 250 members and their families receive healthy, nutritious grocery packets to take home. Each year, Madison works with more than 5,000 young people, so I ask that you be as generous today as possible. You may do so by clicking the button above this video that says Donate Now. Because of supporters like you, I've learned that I'm capable of greatness. I can't wait to see what my future holds, and I thank you so very much for listening to us today.
Diamond, I think we are all very excited to see what your future holds, and we thank you for joining us. As you mentioned, for $2,500, you can help support a Madison food pantry at one of our clubhouses. That's the new initiative that Tim talked about that started this spring to help combat food insecurity faced in many of our communities. Let's take a closer look at how Madison is helping to make sure that our members and families have access to the healthy, nutritious food that Dr. Oz was talking about.
Today we're at our Pinkerton Clubhouse in Harlem doing our first food pantry during the pandemic. We have the honor of serving in communities across New York City, including Brooklyn, the Bronx, and in Manhattan. And during the crisis, it's our duty to provide whatever services we are able to help our members work their way through this unprecedented times.
Today we're here helping distribute food to the many families of the Pinkerton Clubhouse Boys and Girls Club. It's been a pleasure being able to help out and see the faces of the families that were affected during the pandemic, and we look forward to contributing in the future to these families.
One of the best ways that we have been able to serve the community is through structuring our community comfort missions. These missions focus on home-style cooked meals, technology, as well as safety, such as masks, which we donate to underserved communities as well as to our first responders.
Please come join us. If you can contribute your time, we'd love that. If you can contribute resources, we'd love that. And if you have a good source for good nutritional food.
In addition to the food pantry, we're offering virtual after-school programming, which has been very positively received by the families. But as we know, food insecurity is one of the biggest issues that our families are now facing. And so we're very pleased today to begin to deliver these needed commodities to the families in our community.
and we anticipate doing this for the foreseeable future.
We're in a time of crisis. People are unemployed, don't have jobs, and their own food pantries are low. People are hungry. So we really dealt with the food insecurity of many of our families. So thank you for all our supporters who gave generously to allow for our kids and their family to eat. Tonight, the families will eat. They will have food in their pantry that will last them for several days.
United is very proud to spearhead our community comfort mission for the Madison Boys and Girls Club, and we hope to continue to serve other underprivileged communities and first responders through continuing our missions.
If there's anything you or your families need, please reach out. As far as donations, the Pinkerton Club, as well as the Bronx Board, appreciate any future donations.
When you eat, you do well. When you do well, you do better. And that's what we want for our children, our families of this city, to do well and to be better. Stay safe, and thank you for your support.
Thank you, Kristen. I appreciate you. Appreciate you. God bless you. 1, 2, 3. Inspiration.
What impactful work, just incredible. I really want to thank each and every one of you for sharing your afternoon with us. Because of the support that you give, members like Diamond are able to soar to new heights. So thank you for your generosity today. I'd like to encourage everyone to continue to pledge your support for Madison. A little goes a long way, and a lot goes even further. So on behalf of everyone, I'd like to thank Dr. Oz and Diamond Lewis for serving as today's special guests. We commend you for your incredible contributions to such vital industries, but more importantly, we thank you for spending your afternoon with us today and sharing your wisdom and your insights and your story. And to everyone tuning in, thank you for being here today. If you haven't already done so, please do consider making a donation by clicking Donate Now. Your support helps to make magic for more than 5,000 members every day. And don't forget to keep on bidding on all of the exciting auction items featured. The auction closes this Friday, so you can get a jump start on your holiday shopping. And finally, to Madison, thank you for having me. I'm so honored to be involved with this organization. And I just would like to say thank you for your support, and we encourage everyone to get involved and reach out to info@madisonsquare.org to learn more. We appreciate your support and hope to see you soon.